momentarily. But first, thanks to our wonderful sponsors. I don't know if you just saw the news, but average U.S. household debt just hit $152,000. That's mortgages, cars, cards, student loans, but the national debt just hit $37 trillion. It's all going up. Ask yourself this: when the system hiccups, who bails you out? It's not the Fed, not the politicians, and that's why I own gold. Gold doesn't need a CEO, doesn't need missed earnings, it doesn't freeze your account on a Friday at 4:59. While they print, gold just sits there doing what it's done for thousands of years. Store value. If you're done playing musical chairs with your savings, get something real in your hand. That's why you should try our good friends Kirk Elliott Precious Metals today. Goldwithjustin.com. Kirk and the team going to walk you through what they're doing, whether you're a seasoned pro when it comes to buying precious metals or you're just getting started. Call Kirk and the team today at 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, or go to goldwithjustin.com to find out how they can help you today. No pressure, just facts and a plan. That's goldwithjustin.com. Protect what's yours with gold. Goldwithjustin.com. Do it today. When the grocery shelves go empty, you're out of time. That's the truth. Disasters hit fast. Storms, blackouts, supply chain chaos, and the first thing to vanish is food. That's why smart Americans, just like you, are stocking up now with My Patriot Supply. You can go to preparewithjustin.com right now to get a 3-month emergency food kit, and they'll even throw in a free 4-week food kit to boot. That's 4 whole months of meals ready to eat, no refrigeration needed, all with a 25-year shelf life. We're talking breakfast, lunches, dinners, over 2,000 calories a day to keep you strong when everything else shuts down. So don't wait until the crisis is here. Order today, and it ships fast and discreet. Go to preparewithjustin.com. That's preparewithjustin.com, because when the lights go out, the last thing you should be worrying about is feeding your family. Preparewithjustin.com. It's here, the grand reopening of the merch store, justinbarclay.com/store. We've got brand new tees, hoodies, and gear in fresh designs, colors, and sizes, even some for the kids. You're going to find favorites like the FAFO, Full Around Find Out shirt, the Gulf of America tees, sweats, and more. And alligator Alcatraz designs are ready to wear and ready to make a statement. And even cups. We've got mugs, we've got bags, we've got hats, all kinds of great stuff inside the store. Perfect for the rally, the weekend, or just everyday life. Shop now at justinbarclay.com. Shop now at justinbarclay.com/store. That's justinbarclay.com/store. Do it today. Yep, another large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving my pillow with a ton of extra pillows. But you know what? Mike and the team.
Live from high atop Monroe Center in downtown Grand Rapids, we're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on Wood Radio.
Well, welcome in. Yeah, the snow continues to fall. The cold staying about, well, where we've expected the last several weeks. Get up to 17 today. Might get the shorts out. I don't know. I'm just trying to stay positive here. Speaking of positive, I'm positive we got a full load of stories for you today. Somebody could knock your socks off. News you won't hear anywhere else. Congressman John Molinar, Republican, joining us here in the district. And, of course, details about that government shutdown that's looming. We'll get his take on it and more on the way this morning. Oh, yeah. And there's new video out you won't want to miss.
News, weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now today's Big Three.
And the stories that matter most, you're going to be talking about these around the water cooler at the dinner table, no matter where you are, powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. Dave Galloway and the team. We just got news from the Fed yesterday. Interest rates not moving after they dropped them like 2-3 times last year. But mortgage rates are down, and that really could benefit you. Looking to buy, refi, home equity line of credit. Dave Galloway and the team can help you save thousands like they've done for us and so many others that listen to this program. You're going to want to reach out and talk to them today at hhmlending.com.
Number one.
Well, there's new video. Not so peaceful, it seems. Newly emerged videos from January, I think it was around the 13th, middle of the month, revealing that Alex Preddy, the man fatally shot by federal Border Patrol agents while interfering with an investigation and enforcement, the immigration enforcement, they're far from peaceful. And not really even a protester, honestly. He was an obstructor. He was resistance, essentially. New video shows the man essentially knocking out the tail light of a vehicle, of an ICE vehicle with his foot. He kicks that. He spits on the ICE officers and flips them off, is detained later, and of course taken to the ground. And my question on this video, this is my big question: why wasn't he charged? What happened to him in this moment? It could have saved his life. Why did they let him go? The BBC, part of a group that was doing a documentary, released a lot of this footage. His lawyer's out there saying this doesn't justify the killing. I don't think we're saying that it does when it comes to legal analysis, but we are saying is give you a better picture and context of who the guy is versus the media fight that we watched, the info war is taking place. The left saying this guy's he's just a peaceful protester. That's not what we're seeing here, folks. These aren't protests. It's something much different. One big crooked election. That's what the president wrote on Truth Social just moments ago. FBI searching Fulton County and the offices there to discover, I guess, fraud. I'm not exactly sure what they're looking for. Maybe there's some documentation, the ballots they're going to take a closer look at. There's still lots of questions around 2020, and particularly in places like Fulton County. And federal agents there executing that warrant yesterday on the main election operations center, seeking records related to that 2020 election. And of course, multiple sources familiar with the matter saying that the search is connected to the efforts of the Justice Department to seize those election records from 2020. Fulton County clerk says tells the local media the FBI agents are here to get the 2020 ballots. The Democrats are reacting. We'll get to that too in just a moment. Criminal charges finally landing for Democrat operative. I'll tell you, she's a high-level former treasurer of the Michigan Democrat Party right here in our own backyard. In fact, her name's Tracy Cornett. My good friend has been hot on the case. If you remember earlier, we talked to Charlie LaDuff about this story. It's a big one. Charlie said, look, this is dirty. Not only did she do this elderly lady, really dirty, embezzled lots of her money, this vulnerable senior at this nursing home. But looks like Attorney General Nessel may have helped sweep it under the rug and cover it up for her pal, Tracy Cornack. As I mentioned, former treasurer of the Michigan Democrat Party, now charged here with embezzlement and false pretenses for taking advantage of that woman. Kent County prosecutor Chris Becker issuing 3 criminal charges against her. The first one, count of embezzlement from a vulnerable adult, $50,000 or more, but less than $100,000. Second charges for embezzlement, $1,000 to $20,000. And that story just barely sort of opening up. We're just barely scratching the surface. Oh, I'm sure she'll see justice. I'm sure. I will tell you, I'm very pleased to hear that she was charged, and the prosecutor here in Kent County, Chris Becker, was able to bring those charges. First of all, can it get any lower? I mean, maybe kicking a dog or child abuse, things of that nature, but can it get any lower? Taking advantage of a vulnerable senior in that case, so we know. I mean, she's in a nursing home. She's stuck there, and you've got somebody who, I know. It's just, unfortunately, in those situations, there's just not much they can do, and they have to trust that who's ever helping them or overseeing them has their best interest at heart. And if you're in that position, there's really not much more that can be done. But I know Charlie's been on this. He's been on this trail for years now, and I'll tell you, folks, he's not letting up, because there's more to this story. You're going to want to hear as well. All right, quick break. We're going to see if we can get Charlie on the phone. I think we might be able to do that coming up in just a minute. Stick with us. We'll have the latest right here.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Thursday, January 29th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Another bad sign as Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer winds down her final term here in office. Here in Michigan, statistics show the population grew by a dismal 0.27% from 2024 to 2025. And that tiny increase attributed to illegals migrating into our state. In other news, police in Sterling Heights say they will continue to work with ICE despite the mayor's meltdown. Trump-hating Mayor Michael Taylor, who used to identify as a Republican, ranting against the president and ICE agents, claiming Trump does not care about the laws, and labeling ICE agents as monsters and stormtroopers. For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Save big on everything.
Welcome in, folks. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. We appreciate you taking the time. Man, oh man, do we have lots of fun video and audio and whatnot for you this morning. We'll try and break through some of that. Got Charlie LaDuff on the line with us. He's going to join us next. Dive a little bit deeper into the story. I'll give you the history of it and what he thinks might be coming next. So get ready. Strap in. Hemi, good morning, Mando. Good to see you. James over on the VIP of the Freedom Fam. Folks hanging out right now on Locals. Appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for all that you do in support of this program. Man, oh man, it means so much. It really does. It really does, folks. Stand by. Let me see who else we got on this. See, Tim the Road King, Panda. Good to see you, Patriot Dean, a lifer. Good to see you too. Thank you so much for being here with us. Let's see. Let me switch. Let me go check Rumble real quick. The Rumblers hanging out with us. Rumble. Oh, I should probably mention too the Tom Homan story is really big too. Homan taking the reins in Minneapolis, saying justice is coming. This is big. Um, Specifically talking about the signal chats, which I don't know if you've been paying much attention to. Big stuff. All right, hang on, folks. I see Julianne, Sheila, S.J., Garden Gnome, 1769. Gary, thank you guys. The bookers today, I see Annette, Bunny, Suzanne, Jason. Thank you, Charlene, Joanne, Cindy, Sherry. Thank you, Jason. Did I said Jason already, I think. Oh, it's worth saying you twice. And Sean, thank you, Bruce. All right, folks, back on the air. He's coming in with just a moment. Stand by. Breaking news. We just heard a little bit of the press conference, news conference there out of Minneapolis. Tom Homan on the scene saying justice is coming. This story about the signal chat and the coordinated effort to take on ICE and go and interfere in those investigations is wild. What the reporter asked him is, "Hey, can you comment on this? Or what's coming?" And he said, I can't say much. I don't want to give my hand away, but he says, justice is coming. So more on that on the way. Speaking of justice, that's really what we want to see. And he's been hot on this trail for years now. In fact, I think the reason that you're actually seeing this woman being held accountable, Charlie LaDuff with us right now, Michigan Enjoyer, enjoyer.com. The story is this woman, the high level Democrat, former treasurer for the party. She's right here in our own backyard, Tracy Kornak, and she's the one who was taking advantage of that vulnerable senior, ripping her off. And Charlie, it's your efforts. It's looks like bringing her to justice. I got charges filed yesterday. I was ecstatic to see it happen. Welcome in.
Thank you. Good morning.
This is an incredible story. You've been on talking about it a couple of times on this program. Remember when you first broke it a few years back, and then most recently when she had a court appearance, you had a little dust up with her in the courthouse, and I thought that was really wild to watch her behavior. But now we see charges filed. Tell us, if you can, a little bit of the background and maybe what you think's coming next.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little under the weather this morning, but this was 3 years ago, Justin. I cracked that story in the Detroit News. And the woman was the Democratic state party treasurer at that time. So when everybody says former, it sounds like, she retired from the, Tigers in 98.
Yeah.
She was the active treasurer, raising $40 million every cycle. And in her day job, she's a slip and fall lawyer and got a conservatorship of this old woman. Brain damage, was in an auto accident. And a nursing home director, Joe LeBlanc, came to me and said, "Hey, look, I've got some weird billings here, like false billings using the nursing home's tax ID number for like $50,000 in care that Tracy Kornak, that's her name, that her daughter allegedly gave. There's no record of any of that. Here we go. We ramp it up. We force it into Nessel's office. This is Nessel's wine buddy, right? Nessel had her on her transition team when she took over the Attorney General's office, 2018. And an ethical firewall was put up. Obviously, Nessel's to know nothing. But I found out Nessel jumped it. She was manipulating it. She actually gave the active case file on the criminal suspect, Tracy Kornak, to Tracy Kornak before the case was closed. Wrote to her staff that, hurry up, with, is this thing over because Whitmer's holding a judicial appointment out your way for this woman. And she would have gotten that judicial appointment. But 2 weeks after the Attorney General closed the case, Adult Protective Services and the Kent County Sheriff's Department opened the case.
Wow.
And it took all this time. And according to this forensic audit here, the minimum for 7 years, questionable transactions include $420,000, which they don't know what happened to the old woman's settlement in the car accident suit. That's been sealed. So this goes to an arraignment next month. To Kornak very well may face impeachment charges from the House.
This is incredible. You just said, and I want to pass this up. She could have been a judge. This could be Judge.
Your judge, sitting in judgment of you.
Judge
And this
Cornette.
was all public,
Wow.
and Nestle tried to make it go away. And can I tell you what's outrageous about this?
Everything.
Yes, I did jumping jacks. I even lost my columnist job, right? My colleagues were so outraged at my behavior here. They were in the bag here. So the case was closed December of 2022. The woman was allowed to continue to feast on the vulnerable old woman. Highest levels of Democratic politics knew about this. What agencies knew about this? Adult Protective Services, Kent County Sheriff, Attorney Grievance Commission, Kent County Prosecutor. We were watching this in real life as it was going on. Finally, the old woman has now passed on. Her son is a paranoid schizophrenic, has special needs himself. He's a senior citizen. This money that was allegedly taken belongs to him. What happens to his last years? Will it ever be recouped? It's crazy, man.
Charlie LaDuff, breaking this story, like you said originally, when you were writing for the paper, the Detroit News, and then you said, "I remember this. I remember the phone call. I remember you telling me about this and how it all broke down, man. That you basically got the boot there." Hey, I don't know if you want to comment on this, but it's interesting. We had James Dixon on the other day. On this story about what's happened with the Detroit News now and the Free Press after everything you've been through. I just think it's really interesting to watch how you've been able to take what you were doing and to the next level and in an independent way now. I really think that's interesting.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. A consortium of hedge funds owns USA Today, right? Knowing what I know about hedge funds, I don't think they're going to be two papers for very long. Do you?
No.
Right.
No.
So there's that. If I could comment on this, Minneapolis, I'm just putting the finishing touches on a magazine piece. I went out with ICE in the Detroit area.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And they're in some deep waters, those quote unquote protesters, because if you don't have this signal chat group, that was a concerted effort to interfere, right? Create chaos and violence. When I went out, we don't have such a thing here. They weren't wearing masks or anything. They had, it was like a group of, dope dealers, card thieves, that kind of thing. And nothing. They surveilled them for days. They knew their habits, who they were, their records, and it was like clockwork, very professional. So ask yourself, is this ICE doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this radical fringe doing this?
What's different about Minneapolis? What is happening in Minnesota that makes, obviously, the signal chat, but why there?
Because they have a culture there, right? Remember, like the place burned down in the summer of Floyd.
Yeah,
they have a radical culture. They have hands-off representatives, governor, mayor.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be. It really doesn't need to be. And believe me, the people they picked up here in Westland live 2 miles from my mom.
Wow.
Car thieves, right? Dope dealers, drunk drivers, 3 times deported and back again. It's like, come on, man, be reasonable.
Charlie LaDuff is always that. By the way, No BS News Love the podcast, also writes at theenjoyer.com, but folks can find you everywhere and catch up. Obviously, X is a great place to do it. Facebook. Anything else you want to mention while we got you?
Yeah. Okay. So the treasurer, nursing home victim, attorney general who won't investigate the nursing homes, the governor, when the Department of Justice asked you for a report on the nursing homes, what did you tell them? Stand by, folks. It's coming. I have not forgotten the people in the nursing homes.
There you have it, folks. Just scratching the surface, but I'm telling you, he likes to dig. Well, Duff will do just that. Charlie, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Stay warm.
You too. Wow. Ain't that something? Things are heating up, at least on that front. More on the way. Congressman John Molinar joining us in studio, talk about that government shutdown as well. And how things are shaking out in D.C. Always a pleasure to talk to him about what's happening back home as well. You can join the program, too, at 616-774-2424. Oh, the rice and banana lady. I almost forgot. We got an update on the rice and banana lady. And by the way, this is the Somalia lady out of Minnesota. This update is bananas. Don't go anywhere. Hang on, folks.
From a trusted source, it's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
What does it take to lead with clarity and purpose? I'm Jessica Chen, and in season 2 of Leading by Example, we'll sit down.
Okay, so, folks, we got to do some moving and grooving inside the studio. Make sure you click share. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, wherever you're watching, YouTube, click share the broadcast. Help us get the word out. In the meantime, I'm going to let you watch this from Glenn as we get things set up in the studio during our break here to bring the congressman in. America will fall unless we do this in Minnesota is what Glenn says. America will fall unless we do this in Minnesota.
Yesterday, I asked you a question. What if there was a third way? Now, if you just tuned in, I want you to know last hour I was talking about how important it is for the president to follow through on what he just tweeted today. He listed 4 things Minnesota has to do, and that is enforce the law, turn the criminals over to the feds, work with the federal government to get the criminals. And I don't think they're going to do it, but he is setting them up to make that choice. And I think the reason why they're not making this choice, they're not going to make that choice to go along, is I really think they are in real trouble with all of the things that are going on with fraud. And now people like Cam Higbee and Data Republican are exposing all of the hidden networks. This is all coming undone, and they are freaked to the core. The soldiers, the foot soldiers, the ones who believe, in the Turtle Island nonsense, those people are freaked to the core, and I think the politicians are freaked to the core. And he must have something else going on. Otherwise, we're going to start paying attention to all of the fraud that is happening, and that will only hasten his journey to jail. But yesterday, I asked you, can we stay as a people? Is there a third way? Because there is maybe 30% of the population that is still gettable. And I don't mean winnable. I mean salvageable. We have to look, when this is all over, and it will end one way or another, it's going to end. And we know how it ends in Marxist terms. If Marxists win, what do? In the end, anybody who wasn't with them, they line them up and they shoot them. That's what happens. Same thing with Islamists. They line you up and shoot you. Same thing with anarchists. They shoot you. So we know how that side's going to end. How does our side end? If indeed our side, the Constitution, is supreme, you can't shoot people that disagreed with you. You can put people who broke the law and were tried and justice stood, and it wasn't rigged or anything else. It was just real justice. Those people, they go to jail. But the people who are on the sidelines, you got to get them back into the fold. We have to come back together. Otherwise, this is just going to happen over and over again. And you will, one way or another, you'll be in civil war. You'll be at each other's throats forever. And that's not the United States of America. It's not a world that I want to live in. It's not the country I want to pass to my kids. I want to pass my kids a better country, a more stable world. Okay. So the only way to do that is what Martin Luther King called reconciliation. So yesterday I asked, What if there was a third way, a group of people that were dedicated to truth and justice, who would use their bodies in an overtly peaceful way, not to shout slogans, hate, or even judge or spit back on people who are spitting on them. Just stand locked in arms to stand as a border between ICE agents and these violent insurrectionists, okay? And stand and protect the police, but not doing it with hatred. People who are willing to do what Martin Luther King did, be willing to take a club to the head, okay? Be willing to take a fire hose opened up on you, dogs unleashed. That is extraordinary, but it's going to take something extraordinary that the average person who is just casually watching, think of your children, think of if you have kids in college. I talked to my kids. I talked to them yesterday, and Cheyenne was talking about, how she had heard this and this and this. And I'm like, no, honey, be careful. That's not true. This is true. This you have right. This is not correct. Most people don't have time to do what I do for a living. And quite honestly, most people don't take the time to do what you're doing right now and actually go try to find somebody that will tell you the truth as they understand it, back it up with the facts. And so most people are just being duped. They're just being duped. They don't know what they believe. They don't know what the real facts are. So something has to happen that is so extraordinary that the average person on both sides is almost dumbfounded. You look at something, you're like, wait, these people are willing to stand for what they believe in and never punch back? It's got to be something so far out of human nature that it's either group insanity or a God thing. MLK called this nonviolent resistance, and he said it was the only road to reconciliation. Okay. But just like in the 1960s, most people are not interested in that. They want justice. They want people behind bars. They want people paying for what they've done. I get it. I feel that way. I want them, and there must be people to go to jail. But the problem is not the average person on the other side. It's those who are behind the protesters. I know there are many in the streets that are, as I've been calling them, Turtle Island people that believe that, North America is Turtle Island. It was stolen, and the American empire needs to be destroyed. America is the worst thing that has ever happened, and it must be wiped off the face of the earth. Okay. I don't think that's your average Democrat, do you? Okay. But they're almost under this spell because and I'm going to be honest with you, both sides are a little bit, okay? And you're no longer able to think straight. We become so tribal in this country that if you're not 100% with me, you're my enemy. Well, that's not true. I've got to be able to hold two things at once that can be true.
And are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Welcome in, folks. We are back after it. Never a dull moment like drinking from a fire hose is what we often say here. And man, oh man, is it now more than ever. We've got news that we may see another shutdown. Democrats are being stubborn. We'll talk to the folks right in the middle of this. Congressman Molinar running for re-election here. Of course, a Republican. And the House has already kind of done their part on this. Let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing happening. And welcome in. Appreciate you being here with us today.
Thanks for having me back. And always good to be with you, Justin. And you're absolutely right. The House, we finished our 12 appropriations bills. They were agreed upon by Senate leadership as well as the White House. We felt that we could avoid a government shutdown, fund the government, these key priorities. Mm-hmm. And now the Democrats are backing away from that and saying they want changes. And so, we'll see what the Senate does this week. It's in their court right now, and hopefully we can get this resolved so that people don't have to go through this government shutdown and worry about paying troops, and with tax returns coming, all these government services that we count on put in limbo.
Get those returns in. Get e-filed if you're trying to do it right now. By the way, people are going to see, because of the one big beautiful bill, everything that you've all done with President Trump, they're going to see more money in their pocket. They're probably already seeing it happen right now, in fact.
That's one of the priorities that we have, keeping taxes down, even giving tax cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. When it comes to Social Security for our seniors, we're going to see a tremendous benefit in our economy from keeping the taxes low. So this is something that takes longer to be implemented and to see the result from it. But I think people will see it right on their tax returns.
I've already heard from some people who have seen some adjustments and they've seen some changes already that they've in this year already that they're starting to see more money. The no tax on tips, that's all part of it. How about the investment? I mean, here in Michigan, we're really watching some of this come into play in a lot of ways. Data centers, that's maybe another conversation you and I can have, but we're seeing investments coming in at really a clip. In fact, we just saw the president here for the auto show, spoke with the folks at the Detroit Economic Club, and these auto guys, and it's not just the big three, it's everybody connected here in Michigan are feeling the impact of that.
Well, it's President Trump is leading and bringing investments here in the United States, close to $20 trillion of new investments coming. And we're going to need the workforce for that. We're going to need to make sure people have the skills to take those jobs. But that was one of the reasons why we reformed some of our social safety net to encourage work and receiving benefits of Medicaid and wanting to make sure that people are ready to enter that workforce and be able to provide for families. And it's a win-win for Michigan. And President Trump's policies of lower taxes, deregulation, energy production are all reaping dividends. And the bottom line is we want to make sure the American dream is affordable for the next generation.
Yeah, we just heard yesterday, speaking of some of these changes that have taken place and some of the fraud that's been discovered, but the president announcing yesterday he's nominating Colin McDonald to serve as the first ever Assistant Attorney General for National Fraud Enforcement, a new division at the Department of Justice. We have seen the discovery with Doge and particularly what's happened and been uncovered in Minnesota, and I think you look at that, that's just the sort of the tip of the iceberg. What's happening in places like California? You can't even imagine. But you all go in and you do the job of trying to make sure that Americans are getting what they need, particularly in some of these issues with SNAP and the daycare centers. And the people that this fraud hurts the most are the people who actually need this help, and they're just not getting it because of that.
You're absolutely right. Those programs exist to help the needy. And when people find ways to commit fraud or if programs are wasteful, that takes away from those who truly need those programs. And we're seeing evidence of that, like you said, in Minnesota and other states. We have an important role of oversight in Congress, and I'm pleased that we're having hearings on these topics to make sure that we improve the policies, but are also enforcing the rule of law. And that's something that the American people expect of their representatives.
So what are you hearing? Because I got to imagine, part of your job, you're in D.C., but I know you like to be home a lot more. And that's why you're in studio with us today. But what are you hearing from folks on the ground, this time around when you're talking to people? What are their main concerns right now? We've seen a lot in the first year from President Trump. It's almost too much to keep up with, and I think I've been analyzing this and talking it over with people, and it's almost like there's such great things that we take for granted.
Right.
Like the border being closed. You don't even hear about it. That murder rate's the lowest since 1900. We don't even think about these things because you kind of take some of that stuff for granted. But what are you hearing from people that you talk to and you bump up against?
Well, you're exactly right. The border is secure. We don't have people coming into our country, child trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, violent criminals coming across our border. President Trump has stopped that from happening. And we almost take that for granted when you consider the millions of people who were coming in illegally before. And that's also a drain on our social services. It's also increased crime. And now you see the results of having to address that later. But I think people in general are very concerned about their pocketbook. They appreciate that gas prices are coming down.
Yes.
And they want to make sure that, their dollars stretch further at the grocery store, electricity and fuel. I would say that, when you consider the president and the Congress working together on energy production, that's going to help across the board. It's going to lower costs of energy for people at the gas pump as well as heating their homes.
Yep.
So those are sort of pocketbook issues that people every day just trying to live their lives. And I think we're making strides. We still got work to do.
Yeah.
And, when the Biden administration spent an extra $6 trillion during their 4 years, that created inflation. And we're still trying to address that. Now, fortunately, in our last two appropriations cycles with Republican leadership, we've been able to reduce spending in both parts of the discretionary budget. And so I feel like we're making progress, but we still have a lot more to do.
Yeah, John Molinar with us right now, the congressman out of West Michigan here, and of course, always at the forefront, and certainly you had been during this fight with Goshen and that Chinese Communist Party linked battery plant that wanted to go in Mecosta County. The people there in Green Charter Township and throughout Mecosta County stood up, and really all throughout the state, and said, "We don't like this," and for multiple reasons. You had the national security issues with China, the Chinese Communist Party. You had some environmental concerns. And then really, it kind of umbrella over all of that really seemed like it was a bit of an issue with how it all transpired, and that there was money coming somewhere, in the state. They'd worked to sign these NDAs, and then there was a quiet sort of deal behind the scenes, in back rooms with smoke-filled cigars, all the things that we think about with the township folks who didn't talk to the people who live in this area. And now we're seeing, in fact, we got update on that. I know you want to give us, but we're also seeing this connected to another issue that's popping up in data centers. And President Trump has come out and says, "Hey, we need to win this fight against China with AI." And I look at this and I think to myself, I'm starting to hear, in fact, we had some testimony and a hearing yesterday about this from some folks in Lansing. We're going to do a deep dive in a podcast tomorrow on this. But I'm hearing concerns from people this issue, very similar to what the Goshen issue was. And where I come down on it is, look, whatever happens, the people in these areas need to have the final say over whether they get these data centers or not. They really need to be the ones engaged and involved in this conversation, in this process. But I just want to hear from you, because you've been on the ground, boots on the ground for this from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. The thing that made us successful with respect to the Goshen facility is that people's voices were heard.
Yeah.
And they were kept out of the process initially. And then once their voices were heard, then we were able to make progress in keeping Goshen out and their affiliation with the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
So that's significant. Now, it's important when we talk about data centers that are businesses, people's voice needs to be heard on that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for those who are interested in pursuing that to get the accurate information out to the people, so the people understand what is being proposed for their community. And with data centers, if there's a closed loop for the water, that's very different than extracting, lots of water from their aquifer or whatever. Those are questions that need to be addressed at the local level, so that people feel comfortable that their community is getting a benefit rather than something being taken away.
Is this Goshen thing ever going to go away? We see they're still in the township now, and it's like, the whole thing is absolutely ridiculous, and they're lucky they're even able to still operate in the country, is the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think it's horrific that Goshen is suing the local community, the Green Charter Township, basically trying to bankrupt them. And we've seen the Chinese Communist Party is very aggressive when it comes to lawfare. They will use our system against us, and they have unlimited resources because they can put government funding and subsidize different priorities. Their goal is to put our businesses out of business. You mentioned the automotive industry. Right now, they are trying to drive out our automotive industry from competing around the world, and Canada is actually going to assist them bringing in more Chinese vehicles, which, again, I don't think that's a good idea to partner with entities affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party. And so we have a lot on our plate, but the bottom line here is we don't want the CCP owning American farmland. We don't want them leveraging things like critical minerals, medicines, other things we need for our daily lives. We want to have that independence, and that's why what President Trump bringing investment, bringing jobs back onshore, supply chains back onshore, working with reliable partners, to me is so important for the future.
Congressman John Molinar, if people want to reach out, maybe they got questions or they want to, there's something that they want to reach out to you about. Obviously, they can go through the proper channels. Best way for them to do that with your official government website, and then we can tell people about the campaign website as well, because the campaign is happening. This is a critical year. 2026 is big.
Absolutely. Our official website is molinar.house.gov, and our campaign website is johnmolinarforcongress.com. And welcome hearing from constituents and people who are interested in the issues that we're working on in Washington, and just grateful for the opportunity to discuss it with you today.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all you're doing, and keep up the fight. I know it's a constant fight. It's a constant battle. One of these days I want to talk to you about what happens behind the scenes a little bit more, because, on the media, we get a lot of these, pictures of the extreme, and they are, we've got extreme folks on the left driving a lot of what we see in the Democrat Party. But I know, especially when it comes to a shutdown, things like that, you're going to have people that you're going to work with. And I know you do, that are still very rational. They're reasonable. I'd just like to see more of that happen. And
Absolutely.
I'd love to get a bit of a better look into it all at some point, because we're just watching some things happen in our country right now that I think has a lot of people just really concerned.
And Justin, to that point, we're celebrating our 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And the blessings that we have living in this country, where the government's job is to secure our rights rather than dictate to us. We govern by the consent of the governed. All those principles are treasures and unique around the world. And so we have a lot to be thankful for, and it's important that people in Washington, we get our work done.
That's right. Congressman John Molinar, thanks for being here, sir. We appreciate you and all you do. God bless.
Thank you, Justin.
You got it. Again, more online. We'll put the links to the website, johnmolinarforcongress.com, if you want to check it out. In the meantime, keeping us on our feet, on our toes, on the daily, the Good Feet store. Thanks to those folks. And not only at work, but at play, too. If you need to get back to comfort, maybe you're around working hard, shaking hands and kissing babies like the congressman here. Or maybe you're just chasing after your babies. The Good Feet store can help. Get back into comfort today. A couple of places on 28th Street right in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westnedge in front of Kohl's. But tell them I sent you at the Good Feet store.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Thursday, January 29th. I'm Robin Poffman. More Aragua gangsters charged in a massive ATM jackpotting scheme that impacts Michigan. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Nebraska filing charges against close to 100 people, some who were operating right here in our state. One of the indictments outlines how 2 individuals attempted a fraudulent operation at a Sterling Heights credit union. Another involved a gang member attempting to rob an ATM at a bank in Dexter, Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer's final term plagued with more bad news. Stats show the population grew by a dismal 0.27% from 2024 to 2025, and that tiny increase attributed to illegals migrating into our state. And the president unveiling Trump accounts that can be opened for kids. The government will deposit $1,000 for every child born between 2025 and 2028.
It's more money than anybody could imagine.
For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at the Midwesterner midwesterner.news.
Applied Innovation customer Tom Cripps, CFO
Things can be
with
true at
Hungerford
once.
CPAs and advisors, depends
So
heavily
the first thing
on
we have to do is
innovation
separate
during tax season for
in your mind
and also
the opposition.
services.
We have a heavy
Who we're
need
talking
during
about
tax season
in
for loan
Minneapolis,
documents that we need
the
to
true
confidentially
insurgents,
close
the
up.
true
Applied
Marxists,
Innovation
the Turtle
keeps
Island
business up and
believers
running
that want to
during
destroy and take down America,
Absolutely.
and the politicians
And
who
service has been
think they can
second to
control
none.
those
Applied
people for their
Innovation
own
offers
power and
technology
are
made
corrupt.
simple from a partner you can trust.
And then
benefit
there's the
is
people that don't
fast
believe in
service,
any of
keeping the
that,
business
but have
up
slowly been
running
cooked in the
and
stew of injustice.
times that we need
You know,
to
most
get
cops are
things done
bad.
quickly. And I
Trump,
would
as
say
well
that
as you and I, we're
partnership with
Nazis.
Applied, that
They don't want to
us
overthrow the
them
U.S. They
that
just
we
think we're
can count on
Nazis,
them
and
when
so they
we
got to
need
stop
to.
the Nazis.
Applied Innovation.
You know, they believe they're standing against fascism, but I can guarantee you they can't even really define fascism. But that's where they are. So how do you convince those people that we're not fascists?
Real? Can you hypnotically persuade
Well, send in more
someone to buy
troops.
a car to sleep with you? What about using
Bring in the
to create
troops
a
and
better
arrest
you?
them in the
In our new
streets.
podcast,
Shout
Mind
at them.
Games,
You know, that's
we're
not
gonna
going
find
to.
out.
What's something you always
By doing what the real believers, Turtle Island people, are telling them that
Is your
we
mind a
will
computer,
do,
and you just never got the
which they will then
But
just
once
turn
you
around
crack
and use
the
as
code,
proof of
anything's
concept
possible.
to their
For better
followers
and for worse.
and just get them in
Open your
deeper.
free
That's
iHeart
not
video app, search Mind
that's not a
Games,
good plan.
and listen
Not a good
now.
plan.
This message is brought to you.
And it's not enough just to not do that. We have to do something
Okay,
so radical
why
that
not
it breaks the narrative, something that makes everyone in the world stop and say, what the heck is this? What is happening? These people are getting beaten in the head and they're not fighting back. Instead of fighting back, they're forgiving those who beat them. That's Gandhi. That's MLK. That's Jesus. That's the apostles. That is why Christianity grew and changed the world, and Islam had to conquer the world with swords and beheadings and bombs and blood. Okay? One Direction asks you to sacrifice.
Autolaw.com.
Fastest hour radio flying right by. We appreciate you being with us. And of course, the conversation continues. JustinBarkley.com, Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Get Our Locals, YouTube, all those different places. We got an after show, the show after the show kicking up in just a moment. Glenn Beck program is coming up. And another big one, a Fast and Furious. So all day with the news breaking the way it has been, you got to stick with us, of course, for the latest weather, traffic, and the rest of it. We're up to 17 today. Road's still kind of slick in a lot of places. Only 5 as it stands right now. And it's going to stay cold. And that snow is sticking around. Hey, we've been talking with our good friend, Kevin Yoder. And if you've been through this or maybe you're going through it, you understand. It's not easy, but it can be so much more simple. And that's when you have somebody that's needing to transition maybe out of that home and into a retirement scenario. And if you've got assisted living or things like that, that you're really trying to take a close. It's a tough moment in time, and it can be for everyone involved, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, Kevin and the team have understood that they've seen family after family come with them dealing with these issues. And they say, this is something we want to focus on to help people that are going through these issues right now. If you're trying to help a parent move into assisted living, you know it's emotional. And it's a lot to take on. But that's exactly why Kevin Yoder and the Yoder Real Estate team, brokered by LPT Realty, created the Senior Smooth Move system. It's a complete solution that takes the pressure off your shoulders, and they handle everything from prepping and selling the home to managing the move so you can focus on what really matters most, and that's your family. You can schedule a free in-home consultation with Kevin and the team at seniorsmoothmove.com. That's seniorsmoothmove.com, or call 616-303-5671, and they'll definitely love to come out and take care of you and make sure that you are ready no matter what comes your way. All right, folks, like I said, we got a jam-packed show still yet, an after show on the way. Tomorrow's Friday. I almost can't wrap my head around that, how it happened so quickly this week, but we've had one of those weeks that's just flown by. And in the meantime, I'll leave you with this because this is something. You probably saw the original video. Maybe you didn't. But the woman that went on and on and on, the Somali that went on and on and on at a press conference the other day, she had a Band-Aid on her forehead, and she was talking about rice and bananas. And we watched this video going, what? What?
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American. But it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see, like, you know, it's you know, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but
Yes, it is. It is like bananas and rice. It is bananas. That woman, the update to the story, the woman they had front and center the other day, has just been arrested in Minneapolis. In fact, it was for assaulting federal officers. Everything the left does lately just completely, you know, it just seems like it completely crumbles in their faces. And, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, the old story, if you're just telling the truth, it's not hard to remember what you're talking about. It's very similar here. If you just tell the truth, you just be honest, you don't have to deal with all this nonsense. Thanks to our guest today, Charlie Duff, Congressman John Molinar, and thank you to you for always joining us. The Glenn Beck program is next. I'm Justin Barkley. Make it a great one. God bless.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, our glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
From the retirement experts at Matson Financial Studio.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
An iHeart radio station.
Guaranteed human.
Attention. If you suffer from
All right, folks, we are rolling right along. Sort of a small glitch there at the end. We wanted to give you something to listen to when we got our guest out. It worked flawlessly bringing our guest in. But when we get them out, we want to make sure we give you something to listen to while we have the moving parts, because there's a lot of things to set up the camera, say hi, you know, that sort of thing. And it's nothing that you want to watch anyway. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking with us to the after show where things are really going to start to heat up. Yep. You did hear me mention this, and I think it's worth repeating, is that we have a podcast we're going to record tomorrow at 11. And it'll be locals only, but it'll be tomorrow at 11. It'll drop for everyone else, so you can watch it locals first if you're a VIP tomorrow at 11. And then it'll be released to everybody on Saturday. And I'm sure I'll probably play some clips of this on Monday, but it's the data center conversation. So Kristen, Megan Kelly, and Tammy Clark, they were part of a hearing yesterday in Lansing, and they brought up some interesting things. At least I haven't watched it yet, but from what I understand, our conversation last week, they planned on bringing up some interesting things that I think a full picture of what's going on with this data center situation, some things that maybe people haven't considered yet, but also some things that I think may, no matter where you are on this topic, may actually influence how you perceive the scenario. Because I think there's definitely a nuanced way of handling this, and we got to make sure that we're on top of it. All right, so just saying that's coming as sort of a promo, a preview of what is to come in the next day or so. So that being said, stand by. Here we go. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barkley. Oh man, we are firing after it today. Woo! There's a lot going on. We'll try and make sure we keep you up to date with all of it. Thank you for being here with us, folks. Like I said, never a dull moment. Tim Walz. Well, we got news on that attack on Ilhan Omar, which, again, I don't know if it solidifies what we've been hearing or not. But that story is interesting in itself. Tim Walz blaming President Trump, of course, for the attack. We'll have that piece of video. Plus, NBC News confirming video showing Alex Preddy attacking feds on the 13th. We showed some of that earlier. And a big event yesterday at the House with the Trump accounts. I got invited to that and unfortunately wasn't able to go. But what a fantastic event. And there were some even some like behind the scenes moments that I thought were really kind of wild. Some viral moments. Anyway, healthwithjustin.com. We continue. Today is the first day as I'm back on track with my new phase. Maha, making America healthy again, and that starts with me. And it starts with you. And folks, we are going to do it because I'm telling you, to be the best father, the best husband, the best in my calling. I've got to make sure that I'm on top of it. You know this too. Deep down inside in your heart, you know, to show up in the world the way that God created you, you've got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I just, for too long, and you probably know what I mean, for too long, I think Americans just haven't been doing that. And in some ways, it's not even intentional. It's certainly not on purpose. I mean, I had this conversation about the food the other day with a friend and how bad the food is. I was watching commercials from the 80s with my kids. Don't ask me why. Actually, I'll tell you. We were flipping through YouTube, and I was showing my girls these commercials that one of the video I was watching said, hey, if you grew up in the 80s, if you're a kid in the 80s, then you'll know every one of these commercials. And it was so funny to watch them. One particular to show you how outdated things are. It was a Toys R Us commercial. And I showed him this Toys R Us commercial, and I looked at my 5-year-old and I said, listen, can you believe there was once upon a time a store where the whole store itself was only filled with toys and toys alone. The whole store was filled with toys. The whole store. And her eyes got so big, she got so excited. She said, what? What? Are you kidding me? And then I showed her the story. I said, it was like the size of a grocery store or a department store. It was Toys R Us. And she just couldn't believe it. She was sort of beside herself. She's, what? This is wild. And then we watched the Toys R Us commercial. And of course, well, there was a few others that were, I think, memorable. There was a Diet Pepsi commercial that was kind of funny because it was Michael J. Fox was in it. And I kind of remember some of these. I didn't remember all of them. There were some that I definitely like, wow, that's taken me back. But you know, what's interesting to me was there was one particular commercial that just blew me away. And it was a commercial for Milky Way, I think is what it was. Now, I'm not a big Milky Way or candy bar, and that's just not how I am, right? Every now and then I do like a little chocolate, a little something, a little sweet's fine with me, right? But I don't have a huge sweet tooth. And it's just funny to me when I watch this commercial, how they presented this thing. They kind of presented it as if it was like a health food. The Milky Way. It's like an old commercial from the 80s. So they're saying like, no, with it's like now with a quarter cup of milk or something in every bar. And and the kid's talking, he's like, you know, he's a valet in the commercial. He's like, you know, when I need energy, you know, to do this, that, and the other thing. I need, I grab a Milky Way. And it's just this was the tagline. A Milky Way a day helps you work, rest, and play. They even said that here it is. I found the commercial. I'll play a little bit of it for you. They even said that it would like help you sleep. Excuse me? How does that But this is what they used to advertise, and this is how they used to. But the other piece of this, and I think you'll find this just as interesting as I did. I was kind of shocked when I saw it. Is that they said that was these candy bars they had milk in them and they had pure cane sugar. Well, none of them have any of that anymore. They've changed all of these things. So if you're like me and you're thinking like, what happened? We're still eating the same food, but everything's different. There's a reason for that, and that's the Maha movement right now.
Between my schoolwork and this job parking cars, I really have a full day. That's why I love a Milky Way. Take my mind off work, make plans for the game later. It's great.
You get the goodness of a quarter cup of milk in every bar. There's milk, natural cane and corn sugars, and thick, thick chocolate in a Milky Way bar.
Milky Way, it really helps me out.
A Milky Way a day helps you work, rest, and play.
I mean, what? That's how they used to advertise to us. And I really do think, the bars I think the recipes obviously changed too. So taking like your health, taking these things that are so much more, we've had the ball's been moved on us. Taking it seriously these days is very much top of mind for a lot of folks. So healthwithjustin.com is where you can go. Healthwithjustin.com if you want to find out more. Maha Missy with another update. In fact, coming up next week, we're going to tackle how we've been removed. The United States has left the World Health Organization, the WHO, and why that's such a big deal. Well, if you followed along during the lockdowns at all, during the craziness of the last 5 years of pandemic, et cetera, you know what the WHO was all about. Incredible. Terry says, now I want one. Thanks. There you go. Well, a Milky Way a day, Terry, helps you work, rest, and play. I mean, gosh. The only thing I saw when I noticed I watched these commercials the other day, commercials were a lot more creative. They were a lot more creative. They were really good. At least the ones that we remembered were, I guess, maybe commercials that are memorable are more good. They're better, and that's the point of them. But I was kind of blown away when I went back and watched some of them. All right. Anyway, let's get down to business. Tom Homan today. And this is, we wanted to talk a little bit more about this today, but the show just sort of went in its own direction. But he had a briefing this morning, and reporters joined him. And like I said, probably the biggest piece that I took out of it is Homan saying essentially at the point in Minnesota, hey, justice is coming, folks. Justice is coming. Particularly, he was talking about the Signal chat. I really want to hear more from those folks exactly what that looks like. What does justice look like? Now, I'm telling you, they've got the information. They've got as much as you can imagine behind the scenes and the capabilities that we have. They know who every single one of these people are that were participating. In fact, they know where the funding was coming from. And that ought to be enough, I think, to really freak some of these folks out.
Arresting those individuals as well, and to the folks out there in America that voted for this, that want mass deportations because they saw a mass invasion under Joe Biden. What would you say to them? How are we going to get to that point?
Well, first of all, about the organization and the funding of the attacks on ICE. I'm not going to answer a lot about that, because I'm not going to show our hand, but they'll be held accountable. Justice is coming. Again, we got to all remember why the questions from CNN, why are we here? What started this? 4 years of an open border where millions of people are letting this country unvetted. Remember, let's not forget, for 4 years, we were told the border is secure.
Arresting those individuals as well.
He went on a little bit of a rant afterwards, which I thought was even more interesting because he's right. For 4 years, this is how we get to the place we're at now. For 4 years, we were told that the border is secure, and then that's what leaves us where we are today. Homan, it's hard for them to fight against because he served 5 presidents. In fact, Barack Hussein Obama. He gave him that medal, which I think really, it makes him sort of almost impossible to criticize on the left. It's this chess move here, whether planned or not, really has been something. And I'm telling you, look out, watch for this, what he's going to be able to do, because this is what Trump always wanted. He didn't want ICE to have to go in with a heavy hand. What he wanted him to do was cooperate. And now Walz and even Fry, they've said they're going to do a lot of it. They're going to cooperate. They're going to, and if they don't, things get crazier. But now the spotlight is on them. The nation knows if they don't cooperate, essentially, like when they get these detainers, when they get these folks that end up in jail and they've done bad things, let ICE know. ICE comes to get them, et cetera. They haven't been cooperating up to this point. Here's more from Homan in that press conference.
Good morning. I'm Tom Homan, Border Czar for President Trump. I'm here on behalf of the President, along with U.S. Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Rodney Scott, and Marcos Charles, who's leading the enforcement effort here right now. I've been on the ground since Monday to regain law and order in the city beloved by many, and work together to remove threats from the community. During the past administration, we all remember, more than 10 million illegal aliens entered this nation. Many were national security threats, public safety threats. We can't remember over 2 million known gotaways.
This guy just said the thing that most are not willing to say. In fact, the news will ignore. They're not going to tell you. But we had national security threats. We had known gotaways. We had people that we have no idea who they are, unverified, unvetted, coming through. That ought to still keep folks up at night. I know they're working hard. I know that they are doing their best to make sure that they get these people. Tom Homan with a strong message to protesters, which I think is the clear scenario here. Let these agents do what they were hired to do, what the American people voted for them to do. And if you got a problem, you want to protest, go take it up with Congress.
I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March, if the rhetoric didn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die.
No.
Not officers, not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations. For the people out there who don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress. Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the President. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for. I started with President Reagan and ending with President Trump. Every administration, we enforce the same laws.
It is hard. It is hard to dispute that. It really is. And he's so reasonable. He's so logical that it's going to be tough for Democrats or the left, the media to reframe that. You got a guy who he could be your grandpa, he could be your uncle. Tom Homan's not messing around, by the way. He's no nonsense. And he's laying it out. And not just a harsh way, but there's compassion in what he's saying too. And you'll hear it when he talks about those people that have needlessly died because of those wide open borders. Speaking about another thing that's got the left kind of up in arms today is what happened in Fulton County yesterday. This is the FBI investigation into the 2020 election, and they've gone into that election office. Guess who's on the ground there?
FBI agents are going through materials found today during a search of the Fulton County, Georgia election office. That search is said to be related to the 2020 election. Correspondent David Spunt has details tonight. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. FBI agents are still on site at the records warehouse for the Fulton County, Georgia Board of Elections. The matter is sealed before a court, meaning details are limited, but we can report this is related to the 2020 presidential election. Sources tell Fox News that agents retrieved documents, phones, and computers after a judge signed a warrant. President Trump has long made Georgia, and specifically Fulton County, a target of his complaints relating to the 2020 election. Shortly after that election, Trump spoke to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and said he needed 11,780 votes to win the state. At the time, Raffensperger said he felt pressure from Trump and denied any widespread election fraud. He continues to deny it to this day. Now, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis brought state criminal charges against then former President Trump and others in 2023 for conspiracy to overturn the election. But her prosecution, Brett, was eventually derailed completely after it was revealed she had an intimate relationship with the top prosecutor on her team, and it could have tainted the case. Late last year, a judge dismissed the case in its entirety. Now, Brett, last month, the Justice Department sued Fulton County, Georgia, seeking access to 2020 voting records after state officials allegedly failed to respond to a subpoena. Fox News has learned the head of the FBI's Atlanta field office was recently forced out in recent days, but it's unclear, Brett, if this is all related.
DNI Tulsi Gabbard on the scene. It's been confirmed. It is one of those times that I think we're going to hear those words very soon. The find out era. Now, I understand some of you are going to say, well, I believe it when I see it. I get it. We've been through enough. We've been through so much that this is it's just another one of these things. Okay, great. Okay, great. We'll see. Yesterday, the big announcement, man, I wish I could have been there. All the fanfare and everything I've seen happening behind the scenes, our good friend Pastor Lorenzo Sewell was there, and he got to say a prayer to kick the event off. The announcement at the Treasury about the Trump account.
When Trump accounts officially launch on July 4th of this year, every parent will be able to activate their accounts and access the funds at the trumpaccounts.gov. So it's all set up, all ready to go. It's beautiful. The site is beautiful. On that glorious day, we also expect to have commitments from generous private individuals in all 50 states, and they'll be making additional contributions for children in their own states. And when Trump accounts officially launch on July...
A lot of dignitaries there yesterday. In fact, they sent me the announcement over the weekend, said this is what's going on. Here's who's going to be here. And I go, wow, that's big. Excuse me. Some of these names, I go, why is that person going to be there? You'll see in a second when you see some of these people. In fact, there's a viral moment that's taken off from that day. It's going to be interesting. But here he is.
To celebrate a thrilling new milestone for America, the first generation of Trump account children. Trump account children. For the first time ever, we're going to give every newborn American child a financial stake in the future, head start at life, and a fair shot at the American dream, something people don't talk about so much, at least not for the last 4 years. They haven't been.
It's not an Indian dream. It's not a Chinese dream. It's not a Mexican dream. It's not certainly not a Somalian dream. There's no such thing. It's the American dream. And there's a reason for that. But he wants to fully restore it. In fact, I think it'll take it to the next level.
But now they're talking about it big. This last period of time, it's been unbelievable. You see what's going on with our economy, the tremendous investments that's been made in our country. We have over $18 trillion coming in. The most, I think, was 3. That was 10 years ago, another country, not even our country. We have $18 trillion, and we have thousands of businesses being built all over the country, and hundreds of massive plants, so big, car plants, AI plants, to celebrate.
You know, he talked about how this dream has really become a nightmare for some kids in some ways over the last, decades. Every modern president, he kind of pointed the finger and said they've been responsible for it.
Every president in modern history has left our children with nothing but debt. But under this administration, we're going to leave every child with real assets and a shot at financial freedom. We'll ensure that Americans don't just end their lives with a nest egg, but instead all Americans will begin their lives with a beautiful nest egg.
Wow.
Every president in modern
That's so cool. Think about this. And there's so many different companies that are coming along to be a part of this that want to jump in on it because they understand how important this is. If you can teach these kids, if you can teach this next generation to invest, you can help them do that, then they'll have wealth. They'll understand it even better. And the American dream will live on.
When Trump accounts officially launch on July 4th of this year, every parent will be able to activate their accounts and access the funds at the trumpaccounts.gov. So it's all set up, all ready to go. It's beautiful. The site is beautiful. On that glorious day, we also expect to have commitments from generous private individuals in all 50 states. And
it's interesting when I watch this too is like I said, I got the invite, saw how many people were like when you see some of these people that were there, you're like, wow, what was this about? A Nicki Minaj, and you'll hear more about how funny that whole story is. But Mr. Wonderful there as well. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
On behalf of all the entrepreneurs in America, I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, because we create 72% of the jobs. Companies 5 to 500 employees, and all we care about is policy. We love policy, pro-business policy, and these accounts are fantastic for independence and support. I thank you very much. It's all about the entrepreneur, and I think you know that, sir.
Yeah, that was a big moment yesterday. What did Nicki Minaj have to say? They did have a viral. There's a video that's gone viral from the president, Nicki Minaj. If you would have told me a year ago or 2 years ago or 10 years ago that Nicki Minaj and the president of the United States would be having a big announcement, I didn't have it on my bingo card. I didn't. Yes. Here we are.
Hello. Well, I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Amen.
I don't know that I have anything to say. What a moment. That's all I can say. There's like a viral Nicki Minaj. There was like a reel or a TikTok video with Nicki Minaj and Trump, and it's kind of funny because you're seeing this scrolling. The thing I'll tell you about this is that what you have to understand is that you and I see this, and it maybe doesn't translate or hit to us in a certain way, but the general population or even the youth, like younger folks, see this in it like makes their brains explode. And I think it does things. That's why I think President Trump. That's why I think he won. Suzanne said, I'd never heard of her. Well, she's a rapper. And again, not somebody that would have ever would expected this to, but watch this. This has gone viral now.
Hello guys, I'm with my favorite president, the best president of all time.
And I'm with the queen of rap.
What was that? What did we just watch? Do you, I mean, is your head exploding? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's wild. It's just wild to watch. Hey, here's another idea. As we're watching Trump accounts and some of it play out and actually become real. Look at this. How about Trump's idea to cap gas tax? So he's thinking about, some states like Michigan, we have this crazy gas tax, or in California, it's even nuttier. In the blue states, usually it is like crazy amounts you pay. That's why it's like $4 or $5 a gallon or more in some of those places. The average price in nationwide is like $2.87. Out in California, it's $4.26. What? So his idea is he wants to cap the ability for states to put taxes on their gas, which I don't know if he's got the power to do that. But boy, if Congress moved, that's kind of interesting.
California's gas prices high above the national average. President Trump says he's considering a state fuel tax cap in hopes of bringing those prices down. FBN's Max Gordon has more from an LA gas station. Probably the last.
I think this is part of what's driving this. Is he's saying, well, look, I'm bringing gas prices down, but these people are still they're not feeling it in places like California. And it's because of their wacky commie policies.
This place a driver wants to be these days. Max, how's it looking out there?
Hey there, Bill. Well, at the Chevron here in West Los Angeles, a gallon of regular gasoline will cost you $4.39. We've got the second highest gas prices in the nation here in California, second only to Hawaii. And part of the reason that California's gas prices are so high is the taxes. According to stats from the Energy Information Agency, California levies the highest tax on gasoline in the nation at around 71 cents per gallon, more than double the national average for gas taxes. In addition, environmental programs cost an additional 54 cents per gallon. But now President Trump wants to change that, telling the California Post that he wants to place a cap on California's fuel taxes. Well, the details of the proposal are unclear. Trump told the California Post that he wants to get California gas prices down to around $2.50 per gallon. Still, a tax cap on gas in California would likely face legal action. The majority of California's gas tax revenue goes to fund infrastructure projects for road repairs. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Governor Gavin Newsom responded to this plan. He said that this is just an attempt from President Trump to give fossil fuel firms a break and that this would cut billions from California's infrastructure spending.
How does it give fossil fuel firms a break to take the taxes off? I mean, is he saying that more people would drive so they'd make more money because it's not as expensive to drive? Is that the problem? He just doesn't want people driving? Is that some backwards? I'm just curious. Is that some backwards like thought process that they have? It's just these people are so weird, particularly like a gruesome Gavin Newsom. Like, no, you've got to feel it. You got to hurt. You got to really hurt. We got to make you feel the pain. They're so sick and twisted. Hey, thanks to the folks at My Patriot Supply, preparewithjustin.com. They got a winter survival kit deal that's underway right now. $400 in free gifts that you're going to want to check out. Also, the folks at mypillow.com or mystore.com/Justin. Their second annual mega sale is underway right now. mypillow.com. mystore.com/Justin. You'll save big on all kinds of great things like the mattress toppers, even mattresses. We're putting new beds in for our girls, so we're looking at mattresses right now. They've grown out of their little girl beds, so now we're getting to the big girl beds, so to speak, and we're looking at them. The My Pillows, by the way, $17.99. All that and more. Any one of the sponsors you help support this program, and we appreciate you for it. Always a pleasure, folks. Back with more. By the way, did you see the price of gold? It shot up once again.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen. But please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.